So you're planning your next bike packing trip or bicycle touring trip, and you need to figure out what shoes that you can bring for your trip. You can realistically only bring 1 or 2 pairs of shoes, maybe 3 if you really want it, although that might be a bit much. And you're coming to this video right now because you don't know what shoes to bring and you need a little bit of advice, a little bit of information to help decide what to use on your trip. Well, you're in luck because I'm here to share with you my opinions on bicycle touring and bike packing and what to bring in terms of shoes. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Claire and I'm a 24-year-old bicycle tourist. When I was 21 years old, I biked home from Atlanta, Georgia to Baltimore, Maryland, right after I graduated college. Just a couple months later, I flew myself to London and I biked across 10 countries in Europe from September to January. And just this past summer, I biked across the United States on a supported and group bike tour. And just 2 days ago, my friend and I booked our flight tickets to New Zealand and Australia to do 2.5 months of touring over there. To say the least, I definitely have a couple of opinions on clipless and flat pedals, and I am here to share with you that information. These are the 2 main reasons to use clipless shoes on your next adventure. The first reason is that you will go faster and further with these clipless shoes. If you want to cover a lot of mileage on your trip, clipless shoes are going to make you a lot more efficient on the bike. Compared to flat pedals where it's just the downward motion that gives you the momentum with clipless, because you're clipped in, the entire circle, you're using all that energy to generate more output so you can go faster and further. So you have the downward motion, the upward motion, the circular, all of that is going to help propel you forward compared to just flat pedals. So if you want to be speedy, if you want to go far and fast, I would highly recommend using clipless shoes. The second main reason to get clipless shoes is if you are trying to prevent an overuse injury. Biking a lot and for long distances can potentially put you in jeopardy for knee issues or other problems. With the clipless shoes, if you go get a professional bike fitting from your local bike shop, they can make sure that your feet are positioned perfectly on the pedal to meet your needs and ensure that your feet are properly positioned in terms of your knee and your hip placement and your shoulders. If you are worried about having knee issues, or potentially you already have knee issues, like me on my first bike tour, I had knee issues because my seat was too low and I didn't know what I was doing. If you are trying to preserve the integrity of your knee or something else like that, I'd recommend getting clipless shoes with a professional bike fitting. That way you are perfectly set up for your bike ride and you can avoid having some injuries along the way. So number 2 is preventing injuries. And these are the 2 main reasons why you shouldn't get clipless shoes for your next adventure. The first one is that you're planning on just having fun and relaxing on your bicycle tour. You don't want to go all that hard, all that fast, all that far. For you, this is more of a vacation. And you just want to be able to enjoy your time. Maybe you want to bike 10 miles and go to the beach and just be able to hang out for an hour. And you want to bike another 10 or 15 miles and then end up in a city and have lunch someplace. If you aren't concerned about going far and fast and you just want some shoes that are really easy for getting on and off the bike, maybe you should probably just have regular tennis shoes. If you have used clipless shoes before, you know that walking in them can be a little bit annoying if you're doing it for a long period of time. If you have the more MTB types of shoes, they are comfortable, but you do hear a little bit of that cracking sound, that clicking sound as you're walking. And that can just be annoying if you want to go explore a city for an hour and a half while you're in the middle of a bike ride on a bicycle tour. So yes, reason number 1 is you want to have this more of a vacation style bicycle tour and less of a really intense one. The second reason to have a shoe that is not clipless is because you want something that is multifunctional. Perhaps you only want to bring 1 pair of shoes on your trip, and you want that pair of shoes to be really good for hiking, for walking around the city, going to the grocery store, and biking. Clipless shoes, while you can do all of those things with them, they're not the greatest. As I mentioned before, you're going to hear that cracking sound, the little clicking sound every time you're walking, and maybe you just want something that's a little bit more comfortable. Clipless shoes can be a little bit rigid, and maybe you want something that has a little bit more cushion to it, and yes, overall can be a bit more comfortable. So that would be a reason not to have clipless shoes. You want a multifunctional shoe that can do everything that you want at once. So this is what I've done on my 3 past bike tours in regard to flat pedals versus clipless pedals and the shoes that I brought. On my first and second bike tour, I only brought 2 pairs of shoes, and those were 1 pair of tennis shoes for biking, and they were a second pair of shoes for just doing whatever, walking around the city, enjoying my time. For the first tour, like I said, it was tennis shoes, and then I had some Tevas because it was summer. For the second tour, it was the tennis shoes for biking and then the tennis shoes for city walking. So I had 2 pairs of tennis shoes on my second bike tour. Things were totally fine. I didn't really know what Clipless was at the time. All of my friends use regular tennis shoes, so this was my norm. I will say that on my first bicycle tour, I did develop patellofemoral stress syndrome in this knee right here, mainly because my bike seat was too low, but also because I probably wasn't positioning my foot the best on the pedals. And on my third bike tour, which was this past summer, everyone on the team had Clipless pedals. It was highly recommended by the trip organizers because we were biking on average 75 miles a day, about 5 or 6 days a week. That is a lot of miles. You wanted to bike a little bit fast because 75 miles every day is a lot. And you kind of want to get to your destination and relax a little bit. Everyone had Clipless. That's what we wore every day this entire summer. And we had a van carrying all the rest of our stuff, so I had a couple more pairs of shoes just for hanging around, walking around. But this summer transformed my biking experience because of the Clipless pedals. I am so used to it now. I feel a lot more secure. I feel a lot faster on my bike. And you will not find me going for an athletic bike ride without Clipless shoes anymore because of this summer trip. So what am I doing for my New Zealand trip coming up in just a couple of months? I will have Clipless shoes for biking because my friend and I are hoping to average about 55 to 60 miles a day, which is going to be a lot with a fully loaded bike. So we want to be as efficient and fast as possible. I will also be using Clipless shoes because, like I mentioned, I do have patellofemoral stress syndrome in this left knee, and because my clips were put in by a professional, I know that I'm gonna be protecting my knee from potentially getting worse, which is obviously a huge plus. And I'll be bringing either 1 or 2 pairs of other shoes for the trip. If I only bring 1 pair of shoes, I really want the Quack, that's how you pronounce it, I don't know, the Quack and Re-Strap sandals, which kind of look like fancy Birkenstocks, but for people who go bikepacking. That would be my second pair of shoes because it'll be summer in New Zealand and Australia. But if I don't get that, what I might do is bring a pair of cheap slides, like cheap slides from Walmart that I can use to go into the hostel and quickly use at the campground. And I might also bring a pair of hiking shoes because that'll be good for when I want to hike when I'm not biking. So what should you do for your next trip? The question that you want to ask yourself is, are you going to relax? Do you want to have shoes that you can walk around in for hours once you get off the bike? Or do you want to prioritize being a little bit more efficient and fast on your ride? There is no wrong answer. Everyone bicycle tours and bike packs in their own way. I myself used to be a flat pedal girly. Now I'm a clipless pedal girly. And I would recommend that for a lot of people. I think Clipless is really huge when you are biking as many miles as you will be on a bicycle tour. But again, maybe you're not ready to make that transition. Maybe you're a little bit afraid of Clipless because you don't really know what it is. Why is it called Clipless when you have to clip in? It can be a little confusing. I was scared of it at first, but I'm over that fear now and it's really great, and I would recommend Clipless for a lot of people. Anyways, I'm rambling on. The decision is yours. Do you want to go fast? Do you want to be efficient? Or do you want to relax a little bit more? Or maybe you're on a tight budget and you can only really use the shoes that you already have in your wardrobe and you can't afford to get new pedals and new shoes for a trip, so you're just going to stick with what you got. Bicycle tours of all kinds use any kind of shoe. There are people who are traveling the world right now who are using regular tennis shoes and are biking on flat pedals, and there are people who are also traveling around the world using road cycling clip-in shoes and also MTB clip-in shoes. I will stress one more time, is if you're getting clipless shoes, please get a professional bike fitting. Not everyone needs it. I know it can be a bit expensive. It's usually about $135 and takes maybe 2 hours of your time. It is so worth it, in my opinion. If you're gonna be biking like more than 45 miles a day, 5 days a week on a trip, it's gonna be really important for preventing injuries and just feeling more comfortable, honestly. I hope that was helpful. I tried to keep this short and sweet. I don't know how I actually did because I'll be editing this in like an hour from now. But yes, I hope that was helpful for you planning your next bicycle touring and bikepacking trip. Please leave a comment down below with what you do for your current bike rides and what you think you're going to be doing on your next trips. Do you want to use clipless? Do you want to use regular tennis shoes? Let me know, and give this channel a subscription if you're interested in hearing more about bicycle touring and biking from someone like me. Give it a like if you enjoyed the video also. Have a wonderful day. Have happy rides. Have good rides moving forward. I hope to hear about your adventures on the bike wherever in the world that it might take you. Bye!